I'm so glad that we have you today. We are going to be working through the 7 steps on building a wealth mentality for children. And I'm excited for us to get into what are your children's ages. So if you are in the chat box right now, you can just let us know what age your children are. This is a fast-moving class, so take notes. You can watch it again if you miss something. But again, here's the first question we start with, and this is an honest one. Do your kids deserve to know more about money than you did at that same age? And if it's a true or false, do you believe that or do you not? Now, I've taught this class for many years, and almost every parent has told me that yes, they wish their child had known more about money than they did, or that they felt it was detrimental to not know enough about money. But one of the things that I remind people about is that we are teaching our kids about money every single day. We're teaching them in the things that we're shopping for. We teach them how we pay bills. They watch you every second, and you are the very best opportunity that they have for learning about wealth. And so I want to thank you for being here. I'm going to kind of dive in deep. So pick the age of your child. This particular video is going to focus on the children between the ages of 3 and 8 is really a big deal, but we'll go through the age 12, 3 to 12. Kids don't really understand wealth a lot before age 3, and they start picking up some really normal cues. So as a parent, what I want to empower you to do is to find the lessons that are the most meaningful for you to have for them. So you may want to look at fun ways that you can help them understand more about money, how it works, how you're using it. That at a 3-year-old, they are a sponge. They love money. It's still magical that they're sure that it just appears whenever they need it because you've been a great provider. And so they are good at things that are very basic. They can help with shopping. They can help with a list. They can help think of a list. They can, they need language. They need encouragement. So when I say language, it really is the prep for the language that they need at age 4 and 5. So we only buy for a reason. So you're going to kind of let them know what is the language, but they also really need encouragement. Children who receive encouragement about quality decision making really bloom a lot faster, and they not only do they end up, you'd think they would take more risk, but they actually feel more assured, so they don't have to take risk that they don't understand. So giving them reasons, helping them understand the very basics, and this is where language around money helps. No, we're broke isn't a good place to start. They will start hearing that and playing that tape in their head at age 3. By age 4, they really have to get context. They need to know, why are we doing it? Well, we do it because. So this is when you have the chance that they're going to start understanding need versus want. They're also going to understand order, that we have to do these things in order. So we have to pay rent, then we have to buy food, then we have to make sure we have heat, that they can kind of know, how is the money spent? Why are we doing that? No, we're not going to do that today because we're going to make sure we have heat all month first. You like heat, right? Me too. So that they can also understand that they're already getting some benefits that cost money that they may not know. At age 4, they're eligible to do that. At age 5, they are really getting good at decision making. A 5-year-old can also have a very simple budget, that they can start handling money. They understand a bank account, like a piggy bank, that they understand that they may have to save for something, or they may have to look for something. That at age 5, you really get a child that can give genuine attention to the lesson, to the concept, and the payoff. So this is where they really start to see cause and effect. If I save my money, I get to have 2 choices later. If I don't, I only get one choice, right? So what that means is that if you have $1, then you can only buy a $1 item. But if you save that $1 and make it $2, $3, or $4, now you get that many more choices down the line. So it's helping them know how to do things. And that's where simple budgets are there. They are really learning to count money. They're counting change. A 5-year-old, starting at age 3, they're really able to like handle money, but by 5, they're able to count. By age 6, this is where delayed gratification really comes in. Between the ages of 6 and 8, you really have to plug in delayed gratification here. If someone has not learned delayed gratification by the age of 12, they're really going to have a hard time learning it. The optimum age to learn delayed gratification is by the age of 8. So at 6, this is when we start programming delayed gratification. Oh, we get paid on a certain day. Or, hey, you have to do this. They are able to learn new tools, how to do things, that they can put together a wish list. They can program things on their phone, on your phone. They can also really gain a lot of comfort around money in general because they have to have the consistent messages. And by the time that a child is 6, those consistent messages around wealth, they will carry with them for the rest of their life. So if you have a child that's older than that and they've been programmed with messages that are around being in lack and not having enough and not having any way to figure out how to get there, they're going to carry that stress around resources for the rest of their life. And that part is what we're going to solve today, because there's just 7 lessons that we're going to learn today that you can take with you on kids of every age, and you can adopt yourself. And I think they're really, really helpful. I'm going to go to 7 and 8, and then because 8 is, right, so at 7, this is when they start to feel conscious and self-conscious. So am I making a wrong decision? Do I have more than someone else does? That this is really when you start to see people, young people, really be able to aggressively save for something, really be able to pick something. But this is also the time where they start noticing what other people have. That person always has more choices than they do. By age 8, this is where the CEO mind starts. So if you're going to, if you have an 8-year-old that is crazy about earning money or plays games that are around trading, this is where you really see every executive that I have ever met started around age 8. They started understanding how to trade things. Pokemon cards is a great example, right? How do you play that game? How do you play Monopoly? How do you play things that have points? At age 8, boys and girls really, really are here to pick up some complex items. So they are understanding through gameplay, role play, and live selling how things are working, how money is exchanged. And that's really what you're really talking about, is what do we exchange? How does money happen? This is kind of a big deal. When we get to 9, we have physical movement. These are kids who really need reasoning skills around why we're picking it, but these are movement. These are independent. They just opened up a whole new life around other kids and what those choices are that they're going to make with other kids. So they're not going to hold still for a whole huge math lesson, but they are going to enjoy doing errands, that they can do tasks for money. This is a very physical movement, especially if you have an active child anyway. When they become age 10, they've had now probably 2 years of trading, like playing Pokemon or playing some of these other games. And at age 10, they really become very good at that. And they can also become able to take on regular duties in the household. So you may have had little chores for them along the way, but by age 10, they're really an active member. They're able to have a consciousness. They understand dependability, that it's that day that they have to finish that task. This is when you really build dependability. It's Thursday, that's the day we do this. Here's your reward, or here's why you do that, right? That these are some rules that are there. At age 10, they can do that. They know what has to be done. They don't need to be chased around for it. At age 11, they really know they have expectations. They can build a grocery list. By age 11, every child is able to follow a recipe, build a recipe, understand how foods fit together, right? That they're learning how to mix. I like cooking as a financial tool because it helps them understand, right? Again, how do you set something in motion? How do you make a plan, right? I want to eat this. These are the ingredients. This is how I look up the information. These are the measurements in those ingredients. I have to go to the store and pick them up. This is how much they cost. This is how I put them together. And this is how I get an end product. This exact same system, this linear pattern, is why Lego kids do so well, because they have to follow a diagram to get to an outcome. By age 11, they are the masters. They're starting these processes at age 8 with help. They can start cooking with you at 5 and understanding that things are going together, but they're really just doing a task. They're not doing the mastermind planning. At age 11, boy, can they really make that happen. And you see a lot of young people who are very interested in cooking. You see them start their chef skills right then and there. At age 12, boy, they can shop alone. They don't need you. They can pick out their own clothing sizes. They can understand a budget. They can also start learning respect, respect for the adult world. How much does something cost? What do you use your money for? That there's a really great time for young people at around age 12, because they can really start making adult decisions around why they're picking a product, what is junk, what are they not willing to spend money on. This is what I call the chip year. So they can start deciding, do they want name brand chips? Do they want knockoff chips? You know, do they really want something because they want the thing that they want? And how do they get that? And this is also a real giggle time. So one of the things I remind parents about is don't judge the fact that they're investing in things that make them laugh, that kids of all ages like to laugh. And you have to not devalue what their choices are, especially if it's their own money and their own choice. You don't want to have to try to kind of push them to the thing that you want them to want. You have to allow them to have the things that they want to want. The learner's mentality is one of the things that I really remind people about as being, it's the magic sauce. It's really what makes future executives and future business owners so wise so early, is that the world is an experiment. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But what you will want to do is have goals with your children of any age around the things that they want, and not judge those goals. To just go, look, I want to go to Legoland, or hey, I want a day at the park. Whatever it is, they're going to have experiential goals. And those things that they have as experiences will far outweigh the toys that they buy. And there's another piece, again, about sharing tools. These kids are learning how to play games. They're learning how to do things that lead them to become future entrepreneurs. I'm not saying that an entrepreneur is right for everyone, but I am saying that entrepreneurship at a young age teaches a lot more than just how to count money. It teaches kids how things add up, how a store works, right? That it's interesting to play store. And the thing that I really trust, because you're here today, you're watching this class, is that you are the role model. You're the best role model that they could have. And the way that you can help today in the moment is to understand the how and the why. explaining the ideas about why you're choosing the things that you're choosing, what it is that you look for when you're picking that. That I see this a lot when people are at the grocery store of why are they picking fruit? They're teaching their children how to pick the very best vegetables. They're teaching them how to price shop, which one is the most cost efficient. They're teaching them brands. They're saying, we're going to buy that one because of this price. Or they're going to say, hey, these are the reasons that we buy this. We're going to read a label, right? How are you doing that? And sometimes people are making a lot of different choices. You may have a choice about why you perhaps buy some things firsthand and some things secondhand. Some people are very adamant about recycling, that's really important to them. So they don't want to have to keep buying new things. Some people are very adamant about buying something that has high quality so it doesn't break right away. This is where you start teaching your children all the knowledge that you've amassed. And this is where you actually kind of get ahead. The things that you didn't learn, that you had to learn from trial and error, they get to learn from their role model, which is you. And the other thing is that we also talk about why we choose what we're doing, right? Sometimes we're buying things because that business is important to our neighborhood, that we want to give that local business money before we give it to a major company, that we want to buy from people that maybe have a belief system that we want them to prosper in, that they give money back to the community, that they have real values that align with yours. This also comes up in the types of foods that you eat, that there may be a real why as to why you're picking that. And so you just share it. Just share it in the beginning time. The number one lesson that I have for everyone, right, here we go. Rule 1 in Teaching Wealth Mentality starts right here. And it is the same rule for everyone. The first rule of the 7 rules of Teaching Wealth Mentality is that money just has one purpose. It has no voice, it has no meaning, it has no blame, it has no shame, it has nothing. Money can't think for itself. It doesn't make you a good or bad person. What it does do is that money's going to buy you some choices. You might want to know your choices. And that's it. That's it. Money's going to buy you some choices. And we need more choices. So we need more money. And sometimes it really helps people to say, well, what are the choices that you would like? Do you actually need money for that choice? And choices really work a lot better when they've got some more time to them. So if I have to make a choice right now, boy, am I feeling really limited. But if I have a choice that I can make over a wide period of time, right, now I can really look to see if I have more choices. So I'll give you an example of if you need a camera. If you need a camera by 2 o'clock, you're going to go to whatever store is there and whatever how much money you have, and you're just going to buy the camera that fits in that category. But if you need a camera just because you want one and you have a camera that you want is the very best one for you, and you want, if you have time to make that decision, you're going to learn about the cameras, you're going to find out which one is the right one for you, and then you're going to try to figure out how to make your money, your budget go as far as you can, right? Time gives people lots and lots of choices. And it also allows people to be very creative. Money is a tool. And when we hand it to someone else, we're going to give them that tool. So when money's unavailable and we don't have a lot of choices, that we feel really stressed about that. And so it's not about that somebody's a good or bad or blame or shame or evil or anything. It is that when we don't have access to a resource that pays for our very basic needs, it feels stressful and out of control. And we have to talk about that, right? The reason that I'm stressed, that I'm homeless, or that I'm struggling, or I'm not paying my rent is not necessarily about one thing. It is that I'm looking for money to solve this because I need a different choice. And you have to look at the choices that you want. So first rule, what money only has one purpose. It's going to buy you some choices. That's why I like to have a little pile of it somewhere. The second rule that every child that we've talked about today from age 3 or up can understand that most people are trading time for money. That the second job is that's the second step, right? This is the trade we make. That I'm selling time for money, which is what most people do. Whereas a business is selling sometimes, right? They're selling a product for money. So, but most people are selling their time. I'm going to work. I'm going to do whatever tasks that they have for me, and then they'll pay me to work those hours. And giving kids the language around why you're going to work, why are you leaving, and also this is a great time for your older kids to talk about the fact that they are the wealth building tool, that people who invest in their career, right? The reason I want you to go to school is because I want you to have more choices. That people who are paid for their time that can do different tasks are paid different amounts. A waitress is paid far differently than a CEO. So people are looking at how can you earn more money? How can you have more choices? You get to have choices by the way you manage your time. And what you invest in your time is also how much you invest in you. And you are the wealth building tool. And that's the thing that if I could do anything for every single person here is to remind you, you are the tool. You are the wealth building tool. That the time that you spend selling you is so critical. It's so critical. Also, that most of the jobs that are in the trades, you are working with your hands, but you're also working with your mind, and you're also working with technology. So now we have, I'm going to sell you my time, and then I'm going to sell you what's in my head during that time, and then I'm going to sell you my ability to work with that piece of technology. When you've got all of those working together, you really have the ability to earn more money. So also this is a time at around age 8, for people who have natural talents early, that you can start putting those in as early as 5. So some people are naturally nimble, or they're a dancer, or they're a singer, or they just came out that way. Some of those kids are there by that age, but many of them at around age 8 kind of know that they like certain things. Some kids like to they just like to build things, or they tear things apart, or I had a kid that would tear things apart and then didn't know how to put them back together again. And or I would give them things to tear apart so they could learn what was inside. They can just start to look at how do you develop them, and that they will have many jobs over their life. When I look at those older kids, I remind them as teenagers, and we have another class for teenagers, is that part of the reason I want you to try all of the different jobs is because I want you to try one that's kind of gross, that you don't like, so that you remember that, so that you can know what you're willing to trade your time for. That's why I love fast food jobs, because they teach you a lot about stress and how to manage stress, and that stress just is a pattern. Rule number 3, the third step is, the power of trade and understanding a learner's mentality, that you're going to make mistakes. So if you haven't found Carol Dweck, her body of work as a parent, she's worth listening to. And she really did the early work from the 1970s forward on learner's mentality. People who have a learner's mentality, which basically is, right, that if a learner's mentality isn't, so if I do it wrong and it didn't work, I'm not bad. I just need to learn to try again. And there's a difference. Someone who has a learner's mentality doesn't feel that them failing makes them bad. It just means they got to try again. And that learner's mentality versus a different mentality, right? Survival mentality or stagnant mentality, right? That straight mentality, that if I do it wrong, then I'm bad, or I'm less than. We don't need that. So it's really learning learner's mentality to say, oh, it didn't work. Well, let's try something different. That doesn't mean you're not smart. It means that that didn't work. And so sometimes that's also really helpful that you don't always use money. This particular image is actually of my own son, who was one of those kids. He was an early trader. He was trading all the time. He had, little stands outside selling pop and, things, cookies and so forth. And he was just an entrepreneurial kid starting at a very young age. He loved to play store. And kids start loving to play store around 5. So anyway, he understood that if he could trade something, he could trade it up and trade it up and trade it up and trade it up and trade it up. And so he is an animal breeder. So he often trades lots of things so that he doesn't have to use money. So we often trade when we don't have to use money. So bartering is a tool. If I do this for you, you'll do this for me. Or I'll do this task. I'll trade you your vegetables for cake, right? It can be very simple, but sometimes you don't actually have to use money. The 4th step, which I think is very critical, and this particular, I took all of these pictures, by the way, and these are all real people who have gone through real classes and conversations with me. That step number 4 is learning to talk about your wealth mentality through financial feelings. So we have to talk about feelings. You're going to have to listen to your heart, and you're going to have to speak your truth. And sometimes for me, that's saying, oh my gosh, I do not want to spend $65 for a pair of pants. That just hurts me because I know I can do better, right? I'm not willing to do that because it makes me feel sick. Or I don't feel like that's a good investment for us because I have to pay for our heat bill. And I want to make sure, I don't know what that bill is going to be. So I am saying no to buying this other thing because I'm feeling uneasy about a bill that's more important that I don't know the answer to, right? So then you can kind of go, yep, I'm just going to not do that. Then you can start modeling to children that sometimes financial decisions aren't based on how much money you have, but based on the feelings that you have around them. This particular young girl, when I was asking her, what is she interested in? And she had said that she wanted to be a model. And then she instantly crashed and said, well, I can't be a model because we can't afford headshots. And I said, oh, you see a picture? I'll meet me here at 3 o'clock. I have a great camera. We'll take some pictures of you. And we did. And so learning about asking what you need, and that was the lesson, right? Just ask for what you need. You don't need to give up your dream because you don't have money. You need to talk about your feelings of, hey, I really want to do modeling. I really want to try modeling, and I need somebody to do some pictures so that I can model. And we talked about that. So just in an hour, took an hour of my time to do some photographs of her and her family. But again, right, it's what are those feelings? The other thing that I remind people about is why you actually make a list. And for most people, it is about order, but it is about a feeling as well, right? That I want a list of what we need at the grocery store because I will wander. It makes me feel secure. I don't have to come again. So, right, it keeps me focused. It's letting people know that if I spend too much in this store, then I don't have enough money to spend in this other category. Or I feel better when there's enough money so that we can go to the doctor. So I really try to stay on this budget because in case one of us has to go to the doctor, I'm going to need the money to do that. So talking about the feelings that you have feels very adult, but they can start hearing that at a very young age, and they can start really understanding that by age 4. Gifting money. This is where I get a lot of pushback. I get a lot of pushback on this, which is if you are giving someone money, you're also giving them some choices. And at that point, you have to let it go. So you are not the police officer of a gift. So if you're going to give a child a gift, says happy birthday, here's $25 for you to go to Target, you don't get to police that. You get to have to openly discuss why you gift with people, why you tithe, why you hand money to anyone, and be open about it. And the reality is that you're giving money to someone because you want them to have choices. I'm giving you an allowance, not actually because you're doing the chore. You have to do the chore because you're part of this family, and everyone in this family needs to work, and everyone in this family needs to support the family. That's why I'm giving you money. And I'm not giving you money because that's not why I'm giving you money. I'm giving you an allowance. I want you to do these chores, but I'm giving you an allowance because I want you to have some choices, right? Very big difference. And we've learned that if you only pay people to do something and that they've connected those two items, they won't do it. They won't do it when there's not a reward. So they need to clean their room. They need to do all those. Yes, you get an allowance, but your allowance is because you need choices. And I'm going to let you do that because this is important. You need to, you get that right for being in our family. But you also have the responsibility in our family to help with the family. So don't necessarily connect those two for them. And sometimes we give money to people because they actually can make things go further. I have a friend of mine named Tony, and she is the coupon queen. And so if I'm going to buy something, I'm going to try to give myself a wide timeline, and I'm going to go talk to my friend because she is super good at finding whatever I want, probably at 70% off. So I like that as well. And the other thing that it's very helpful, especially if you have multiple children, is how they can put money together so that they can have more choices. So this is how we had this huge rainforest piece, right? Where one person couldn't buy all that land, but they got lots and lots of other people to kind of come in and give them money, and then they could share in the ownership of that land. And so that they've just been buying 1 inch at a time to try to save that land. So if we put money together, we can even create more choices. Public radio does that. We have lots of member drives, things like that. Number 6, we're almost done. This is the same little girl. She's so cute. This is the question that I really want to put into your learner's mentality. Question the price, question the cost, question the benefit of the exchange. So I love this. Can I get it at a lower price? I will frequently see very savvy people looking at the price of something and then seeing where else it is. And sometimes that benefit exchange is worth it, and sometimes it's not, right? I don't want to drive across town to another store to get that, but is there a way that I can get exactly what I wanted for a lower price? An example was that I have a really, I take a lot of pictures. I have a really nice camera, and my camera is wearing out, and I'm really needing a new one. And so, I went, wow, this, if I buy a new one, it's thousands of dollars. If I buy another version of the one I have, it's really a lot less. Am I willing to stay with older technology at 25% of the cost, or do I want to upgrade that other 75% and get what is new? What is the newest technology in the world, right? What do I need? And so that's also questioning the benefit of the exchange. In the end, I found a video on how to fix my camera. So I got out for nothing. That I just went, oh, okay, this is what's going on. I can replace a part. I can, clean something, and boom, my camera's back to working as good. I don't have to do anything. And so again, question the cost, question the exchange, question what is there. Is there another way to do this? Can I borrow the thing that I need? Do I really need to own that movie, right? What does that mean? And sometimes owning something actually means that you have lots of other costs that go with it. So I love the idea of owning a house, but boy, those costs stack up every single year. You've got a yard, you've got stuff to do with the yard, you've got plants, you've got paint, you've got a heater. I mean, there's just, the costs keep coming up. So sometimes just owning something means that there's a lot of other costs that are attached to it. This one's magic, and it is the number 7, and we as parents, I can hear everyone groan. Oh, my kids already have so many toys, they don't need toys. But just telling them that they don't need doesn't actually make them great consumers, right? You're teaching a wealth mentality. You're teaching them to really how to effortlessly build wealth. And the way to effortlessly build wealth is taking stock of what you already have. So the camera was a great example. Do I really need a new camera? Let me question that. Let me look at what I already have. You don't have to be accusing to the people in your family for wanting. What a crummy way to live, right? Yeah, that I should be mad at you for wanting something? No. But you've got to take stock of what you already have. This works really great for me in toy aisles to say, oh, right? Just ask a question. What do you love about it? Is this something that goes with your other toys? Is there a reason that you want this? What makes this so cool, right? You're going to take on that learner's mentality and really start to question them. Oh, because you're really hoping to give them positive decision making. So teaching a learning mentality also means, right, in taking stock, is being curious. Can I use something else that I already have? People actually don't need very much, and they will frequently buy the same thing over and over and over and over again because they don't know how to take stock of what they already have. I can ask a lot of people, how many pairs of pants, shoes, scarves, right, do you have that all look similar? Do you really need that extra one? Are you going to wear 15 pairs of pants? No. Right? Taking stock. Do your pants not fit? Why do you need another pair? What is it about the pants that you have that aren't working? I actually just had this conversation with my nephew to say, oh, you need new pants? I thought we just bought you new pants. And he's like, yeah, well, they're ripped. I said, oh, well, do you want me to just fix your pants? He's like, yeah, great. It took me 15 minutes to fix his pants, and I didn't have to go buy another $40 pair of jeans. So again, right, define what it is. Is it an emotional fit? Is this really going to do what you need it to do, or are you just lonely or sad or hungry or feel like you are bored, right? Sometimes we also are allowed to change our thoughts about something. I've had my kids ask me for a toy, and I'm like, do you really want a toy, or really do you just want to go outside and play? Or are you really just looking for somebody to play with you? Yeah, I'm looking for somebody to play with me. Okay, great. Let's change our mind and get you the thing that you really need, right? That we're allowed to have changes in the way we think when we're buying things. This young man is also from the family that we photographed earlier. So for you, here's what I want to kind of take with you is really make a list of the items that you think your child or you need in order to make your wealth mentality work brighter and faster, right? So start looking for the things that you think you need to help support you. The first place to do is exactly what you're doing. You're right here, right? You're learning more. You're finding other people that are good with money. You may need to have a dream. You may need to get a picture of what it is that you actually want in your life. And they may want to really look at, what kind of room do you want? What do you want? Because we're buying a lot of things to fill an emotion, but we're not really buying the things that are going to fill the function. So that's really what it is. Dream about it. And it takes courage to not spend money. It's actually more work to think about what it is that you want. Give it some time, not just like see it and go, oh, that's the thing I need. That's a that's not a wealth mentality. So if you need me, I am here. Again, you know, we have lots of these classes. I'm super glad that you're here. And keep talking about it. And then in the open section, this is really what I want you to think about, right? How are you going to use this information? What is it for you that was the most critical of those 7 steps? And when we go back to those 7 steps, let me just go back to them, right? So the 7th step, taking stock of what you have. The 6th step, right? Question it. Do I really want to pay this? Is this the right price for me? What is the benefit? Giving freely. If you're going to give money, give it. The 4th step was talking about financial feelings. It's a big deal. And the way you feel about something will often tell you where you may have trauma. It may be your emotional triggers. It may be just a reminder that you don't feel secure in the amount of money that you have. Sometimes you can do things that don't need money. The more often that you can use this, step number 3, the more often you can use this, the more often that you will be able to hold on to your wealth to make different choices. So learning how to trade, learning how to barter, learning how to ask your friends for what they can do. This step 2 is understanding the trade-offs, understanding why we have to go to school, why we need to learn more how to do things, that we are the wealth building tool. We are it. We control how much we can charge for our time by the amount of things that we do in our free time that help us learn more, do more, and be more valuable in the marketplace. And then number 1, and there it is, the number 1 purpose is that money only has one purpose. It's going to buy you some choices. And I thank you so much for being with me today. I am always glad to see you. You can always give me your questions. And I'm going to sign off from here. Have a wonderful day. Please write down what you are taking away from you from those 7 steps, and then give yourself, again, a list of what you're going to do to keep going. Thank you. I'll see you later. Bye.